Welcome into the Rhonda Lou Moxy show. This is Rhonda Liebig. We're connecting to decide what's the best way to get into alignment. Being in the health industry for 25 years, 25 plus years, I think about this how can we start motivating ourselves to the point where we don't just stay in the been there, done that, feeling that we could be lost forever in the poor me, which I used to do all the time. And I was up this morning at 2:30 thinking that way. I was like, poor me. And I was thinking about everything that wasn't working. And I go, well, what if I just flip the switch, do some meditation so that I can be ready for this, the Rhonda Lou Moxy show, all about being vivacious. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to stand up to this. That's how I felt at 2:30 this morning. But incrementally, when we step into the stuff that we do, it creates a different lifestyle. So we're going to talk about that. Also, I'm going to bring in my 10 years as a person that was consulting with for money flow, for consulting as an accounting CPA. I believe all of this tethers together. And this is coming from my plaque. And I'll tell you what the plaque, but you can see here, this is where you're creating your first 250,000. I'm really going into the healing aspect of it. And today we're talking about alignment. So this one is called Wake Up and Heal Your Moxie, Sexy, Wealthy Life and Business, Creating Your First 250,000. I believe if we take every step through this, it shifts our energy, our mind, our flow, so that we can open up and see what I would say our low hanging fruit, the stuff that's right there to pick and decide how do I want to show up? How do I want to be able to live in this life to where I know I have purpose? I feel strong. I don't allow people to push and pull and maybe even close me down. Because that might be past stuff that you've done before. And maybe it's happening right now. So if you're here, come and check in. I would love to hear what you have to say about this. So the first thing I started thinking about was okay, what do I want to do in this conversation today? So I started looking up what the definition of alignment is. Why not, And there's actually two approaches, and I thought let's break it down to these two things that it talks about. Because I searched through Google, but it's almost like the Webster Dictionary, But it says alignment, arrangement in a straight line or in correct or appropriate relative positions. And it's like the tiles had slipped out of alignment. Sometimes I want to hold that because it's talking about tiles, but what if you think that your path is supposed to go straight and narrow, that nothing else shifts? And if it does, then you're out of alignment. What if you thought that that's exactly what alignment is? But in reality, what if alignment is that it actually kind of shifts and flows? And I think about this when that definition starts talking about the tile slipping out of alignment, in some ways, it may creatively open you up to not just the structure like this, like the parallel, horizontal, all that kind of stuff. But what if that tile shifted and all of a sudden you create this bigger thing? And I think of it now, think about it. This if I did tile and I just did it straight up and down, but what if we started looking at what if this just all of a sudden started shifting and everything started free flowing? And all of a sudden you start getting this flow going. And so the tile that you thought should be right here, all of a sudden is off to the side, and it takes you off your path. And you start realizing my alignment is to let go of, and I would say, this is where you decide what you want to see, which is taking control out of the situations, opening yourself up to something creative that you've never experienced before. Think about what happened if you did that. Total change in the game. And If you did that, would you, first of all, naysay yourself and say, oh my gosh, you shouldn't have done that because this is how I want everything to look. And now it looks like this. And then, but you catch yourself and you go, here, wait, I have to use my tools. Let me do some meditation. I'm going to do some clearing. And then all of a sudden you take a step back further and you go, here, wait, that looks pretty darn nice. There's like a flow going on here. Like all of a sudden you create art instead of just a structured, put it perfect, align it, measure it, but you start flowing and realizing that life really does work that way. Life is in flow. The more that you take the pressure of you holding on, trying to manage everybody, trying to manage yourself, trying to manage, but you literally allow somebody to, or something to be, then you get to create in a way that you get to relax. This comes with the Rhonda Lou Moxy show. We are talking about how can you open yourself up, activate yourself so that you feel like you are dialed in, that you don't have those thoughts that are so demeaning that bring you down, but you start feeling something that you are special. And I got to tell you, I think everybody's special. There's all these wonderful people in this world. Well, how come you're not allowing yourself to show up that way? Why is it that we allow, or you allow yourself to just keep breaking and breaking yourself down? So then it takes a while to build yourself back up, believe in yourself to truly be who you really are. You know, the one where you're such in a flow, you're cohesive to where your mind opens up to where you are highly intelligent. Like everything that you've ever learned all of a sudden activates. And I'm an energy activator. I believe that's where our cells just start firing and wiring, and our brain starts opening up more to where it starts rewiring in a way that serves us, serves our relationships, serves everything that we do. So that's that definition. Arrangement in a straight line or in a correct or appropriate relative positions. The tiles had slipped out of alignment. Okay, so the other one, this is number 2. A position of agreement or alliance. The uncertain nature of political alignments. Okay, well, political elements. Okay, but you think about this, position or agreement and alliance. What if, and this is how we can get to the naysaying of ourselves. So we go, okay, I want to be in a line, and you have this specific vision for yourself. Because we're talking about we want our body, we want our vision to be in alignment so that we can open up our voice and authentically be ourselves. This is what we're talking about. So let's say you have an agreement with yourself, with a client, with a friend, and the agreement at that time worked. It authentically did. It felt so right. But just as everything shifts and grows or different circumstances start happening, then you realize the first agreement that you did doesn't serve you any longer. No more. So what's the next thing that you do from there? Do you need to maybe take a step back, start looking at what are some of the things I can do in communication with myself and what I'm expecting, and then communication within what somebody else may need to hear from you to make sure that shift really happens, because the old conversations don't work anymore. That alignment that you had months ago, years ago, whatever it is, that you start recognizing, here, wait, there's something bigger happening here. And this is where the Rhonda Lou Moxy, the open up space, you're like, here, wait, how can we open that space up? How can we get in our moxie and really live a tenacious lifestyle? And it's the approach of having a conversation in a way of, here, wait, I think that we could communicate this way. This would help us better. And this is why I think that. But what can happen is if you're feeling frustrated, don't have your words, don't have yourself activated, believing in yourself, you could think of all the reasons why that first agreement and the way you're communicating is not working right now. And you could accidentally go into your conversation just talking everything that's not working. Oh, this isn't working. Last time that you did that, this is what I was thinking. That frustrates me. That's why I'm mad. And the story will just go on and on and on. But you see how that conversation can be different. Excuse me. It can be different if you start activating, what am I here for? What's the energy that I want? And that energy will start shifting. And you'll start speaking through the heart where it sounds different. You'll start with, wow, things have really changed. So since things have changed, you can label them, but like good things, like we're becoming deeper friends. We're learning more about each other. And what I thought, 10 years, 20 years ago, it's so different than now. So what if we communicate this way, or we change that intention that we thought was alignment 20 something years ago, but really this shift is different for me now. What do you think? Like, how do you want me to do something different or change certain things that work for you now? I mean, you've changed also, and it opens up a conversation that's way different than it would ever be before. So when you start bringing alignment into your life and you're thinking about your relationships, you're thinking about your business, you're thinking about your money flow, you're thinking about how you're showing up. So when you're looking at your healing, you start looking at like the first step, saying, I want to feel better. I want to start speaking to where I can open myself up and I can see the bigger flow of income for me, the bigger flow of relationships with me, the bigger flow in my health, so that I'm not so concerned about every little pain in my body, but I'm starting to really think about the higher level of how to take care of myself so I don't keep dropping my energy and beating myself up with any of the aches and pains that I have, or even in my relationships, because this is all around freedom, safety, and healing. This is all around when we're talking about money, we're talking about waking ourselves up. We're talking about getting into your Moxy energy. That's what this is about. So to get into you got this, the first step, because we're all the way in alignment. And the next step is that you are feeling like you're at a higher space to talk better to yourself. So if you start feeling like, yes, I got this, I do. And it could be just the motivation of this conversation this morning, or it could be different. And now this is more serving because you realize you want to serve at a higher level for your health. You want to know what kind of impact you want on your body. So you start talking to yourself in a way where your body starts, I would say, purring. Like your body's not, oh my gosh, this is wrong with you, that's wrong with you. And you have this battle inside. But when you start feeling the impact that you want, all of a sudden, that alignment starts coming in deeper because you can feel how you feel more in love with what you're doing, appreciating so much more of what you have because you know the impact. You have a goal, you have a vision. It changes your whole day, your whole world. It starts activating your energy. And when your energy is activated, you start opening cycles in your body that were just shut down, slow. Maybe your heart hasn't been challenged enough. Maybe your lungs, maybe your mind, the flow in your mind, maybe your feet. Maybe your feet, you haven't been moving forward. They've been stuck. They've been stubborn. And you want to feel successful, but some days you only feel 10% successful because you keep beating yourself up because everything that is all around healing for yourself, you've been at a low level of just hurting yourself and saying not very nice things. And you want to catch those cycles because we're known to say 60,000 words to ourselves a day. 80% is known to be negative, and 90% is stuff that keeps cycling over and over and over because it's subconscious. And you just keep feeding and fueling that thing. But when you start doing this energy activation, things change to where you can just clear the mind and the flow of the body. And the heart and the mind coherence, you can start feeling it now. Your heart starts flowing in magic. And I believe in magic. Magic is what helps us move forward. What do you think about that? I'd love to hear. And so today we're talking about alignment. Where is it that you feel that you're learning today about where you can be in alignment? Maybe you've been holding on too strong and you're thinking alignment is a straight line, but if you let things shift a little bit, you allow the flow to open up and you start seeing things in a different way. You get lighter on yourself, lighter on the people around you. It's incredible. It's incredible what these changes can happen. So I hope you enjoyed this show. We are here every Monday, 7 a.m. Pacific time, and it's about healing. Next time I come in, I'm going to go into the next pillar, which is innovative, which is the same pillar around healing, but it's the second layer. And the second layer is related with higher level thinking because you start going in with your healing, which is here. And then if you keep following that pillar, then you have innovative. So we're going to be speaking and we're going to be moving up. And this is the one that says unleash your moxie, sexy, wealthy life and business, creating your first 250 to 500,000 threshold. Again, notice how you shifted just based on, we're on 17 minutes now, and how that can make such a big difference when you start really feeling your impact of what you're looking for. When you do that, you start speaking at a different level, you start holding a different frequency, and things change so much. So what do you think about that? I'd love to hear from you. You have a wonderful Monday. This is a great way to spend a little bit of time on your Monday to get yourself rocking. I love you. Namaste. Have a great Rhonda Lou Moxy day. I just say a Moxie day. I appreciate you.